Hello, my dear students of Class 8. My name is Pravin Frank Rajan, and for today's English session, we are going to be doing something really interesting. We are going to be doing the first chapter from your supplementary reader, It So Happened, and the first lesson from the reader, which is How the Camel Got His Hump. It's a wonderful lesson by an author called Rudyard Kipling. This story is an abridged version, meaning it is a shortened version of the actual story. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to be reading this lesson together. So while I'm reading and explaining to you, I want you to open your textbooks and follow the lesson, and also keep a pencil handy so that you can mark down the meanings of the words as and when they are explained to you, and also the explanation of the words. All right, so how the camel got his hump. The world had just begun and animals were working for humans. Okay, so the world, this was like really in the past, at the time of creation. This story is a fictitious story, meaning it has imaginary characters, and it'll showcase animals that talk as well. So the world had just begun. So in the beginning of the world, animals were working for humans, meaning they started being domesticated by humans. All right, so these were domestic animals. And there was one lazy animal that did nothing and said nothing but humph. All right, Humph will be pronounced as humph. All right, even the clever Jinn was at his wits' end. To be at your wits' end means to be very upset. Now there's another word over there, Djinn. It is pronounced as Jinn, and a Jinn is a spirit that has strange powers and can assume, meaning it can take any form, be it human or animal. All right, so this person is, to give you a more clearer example, if you watch the movie or if you watch the cartoon Aladdin, in Aladdin's story, there he finds a lamp, and Aladdin, he rubs this lamp, and a magical creature called a Genie who lives inside the lamp appears, and he gives Aladdin, or he grants him, 3 wishes. Okay, so a Jinn is a character similar to the Genie who has strange powers and can assume any form, be it human or animal. All right, so that's what you need to know before the story begins. All right, so this is where the story begins. In the beginning, when the world was new and animals were just beginning to work for man, there was a camel, and he lived in the middle of a howling desert because he did not want to work. Okay, what's the meaning of a howling desert? A howling sound is the sound when the breeze blows across the desert, and this is a long wailing sound. You will hear a sound that goes woo, 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 woo. It's really strong gushes of wind. All right, so that is a howling sound. All right, so in the middle of the desert, there lived a camel, and he lived in the middle of the desert because he did not want to do any work. He ate sticks and thorns and prickles. Prickles are thorny shrubs, meaning plants which have thorns in them. And when anybody spoke to him, he said humph, just humph, and no more. Okay, so this camel, he lived in the middle of the desert. He eats sticks, thorns, and prickles. And he did not say anything to anybody except just this one term, which was humph. All right, so presently the horse came to him on Monday morning with a saddle on his back and said, "Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like the rest of us. Trotting is the sound that the horse makes when it is not walking, it is not running, but in between, when it's just like, slowly moving with its legs up in the air. The sound that it makes with its hooves is called trotting. All right, so a camel came to this horse on a Monday morning with a saddle on his back. What is a saddle? A saddle is the seat that is fastened or that is attached to the back of a horse or an animal. It is usually made out of leather. Okay, so this horse, he comes to the camel on Monday morning, and the horse had a saddle on his back. That's where people actually sit on the horse. The seat on the horse is known as the saddle. So he came with the saddle on his back, and he said, "Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like the rest of us," meaning jump around and trot like the rest of us. So the sound that, or the movement of the horse when it is going, when it is not walking and it is not running, but in between walking and running, when it is moving in a very happy manner with its legs going up and down, that is called trotting. All right, so he says, "Come out and trot like the rest of us," he tells the camel. The camel says, "Humph." "Humph," said the camel, and the horse went away and told the man. All right, so in the beginning, when the world was new and animals were beginning to work for man, man had put a saddle or a seat on top of a horse, and this horse one day went and told the camel, who lived in the middle of the desert. He said, "Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like the rest of us." "Humph," said the camel, and the horse went away. It did not respond well to the horse's invitation to come and trot like the rest of them. It just said "humph," and the camel did not bother. It did not bother. So the horse just went away. And what did it do when it went away? Because in the beginning, all animals were just beginning to work for man. It goes back to man, and it tells man that it tells the man about what happened that day when it spoke to the camel. Okay, now presently, meaning next, the dog came to him with a stick in his mouth and said, "Camel, oh camel, come and fetch like and carry like the rest of us." All right, so it said, "Come and fetch like the rest of us." If that is what a dog usually does, if you throw a stick or if you throw a ball and you say, "Go fetch, doggy," it'll go and bring the ball or the stick and come out. So this doggy as well, it goes to the camel and he says, "Camel, oh camel, come and fetch like the rest of us." And "humph," said the camel, and the dog went away and told the man. All right, then next came the ox. The ox came to him with the yoke on its neck and said, "Camel, oh camel, come and plow like the rest of us." All right, so next comes the ox. The ox, it comes with a yoke on its neck. Now, what is a yoke? A yoke is a wooden cross piece that is fastened or tied to the neck of animals and is attached to the plow. All right, so when you see an ox and when you see a farmer, he's using his plow to go ahead and plow his field with the help of an ox. You will see a wooden metal piece like a cross that is fastened to tied to the neck of the cow, and with this help it goes ahead and pulls the plow so that the man will stand at the back of the ox and it will help plow the field. So this ox goes to the camel and says, "Camel, oh camel, come and plow like the rest of us." "Humph," said the camel, and the ox went away and told the man about it. All right, so first comes the horse. The horse comes with a saddle on its back and it says, "Come trot like the rest of us." Next comes the doggy. The small little dog comes with a stick in its mouth and says, "Camel, oh camel, come fetch and carry like the rest of us." And next comes the third animal that comes to the camel is the ox. The ox comes with a yoke on its neck. This yoke is, I told you, what comes and it helps the farmer plow his field. It is attached to the plow. All right, so he comes over there and he says, "Camel, oh camel, come plow like the rest of us." Now the camel, to all these three invitations, just does not say anything except all right, so it says hump, and these three animals go and tell the man about this. Now at the end of the day, the man called the horse and the dog and the ox together and said, "Three, oh three, I'm very sorry for you, but that hump thing in the desert can't work, or he would have been here by now. So I'm going to leave him alone, and you must work double time to make up for it." All right, so this was in the beginning of the world when animals just started to work for man. All right, or they started getting domesticated. All right, so when the horse, the dog, and the cow go back to man and tell the man that there is a camel in the middle of the desert and he does not want to do any work, what happens is the man, he calls these three animals together, the horse, the dog, and the ox. He calls them together. If you look at the photograph as well, or the picture that we have on your text in your textbook, you will see that there is an old man with a beard and a stick in his hand. He is talking to these three animals. And he tells them, "303, I'm very sorry for you, but that hump thing in the desert can't work," meaning the camel can't do any work, or he would have come here by now. So I'm going to leave him alone. I'm not going to trouble him, but you must work double time to make up for it. All right, so why should they do the camel's extra work? That made the three very angry. And they held a panchayat at the edge of the desert. A panchayat is a village council, people who make decisions like for the village. Okay, so they all meet up at the end of the desert and they have a small little meeting amongst themselves, and the camel came chewing cud and laughed at them, and then he said, "Humph," and went away again. Cud is the food. The camel came chewing cud. So cud is the food from the stomach of the animal that can come out to the mouth and it can chew it again. So what these animals like the cow or the ox or the camel does is they go ahead and they eat their food and they swallow it. All right, so once the food is swallowed, they have this ability to bring out their food again and constantly chew on the food and again swallow it back. Now that food that comes out from the stomach to the mouth for chewing is called cud. It is spelled C-U-D. Okay, so this camel came and then he was really happy. It was laughing about, and then it said just humph and went away. Now presently they came along the Jinn. We discussed what a Jinn is. He is something like a genie who has magical powers. If you look at page number 3, you will see a photograph of a person who has a long mustache, a cloud of smoke, and he is blue in color. All right, yeah. So that is what a Jinn. He is like a spirit that has strange powers, and he is able to transform himself into any form, be it animal or human. Okay, so the Jinn came, and this person was in charge of all deserts, rolling in a cloud of dust. All right, so this person, the Jinn, he was in charge of the whole desert, And because the camel lived in the desert, in the middle of the desert, and these three animals, the horse, the dog, and the ox, they go to the edge of the desert and they hold a panchayat over there. This person, the Jinn, also comes over there because he is in charge of the deserts. So then said the horse, Jinn of all the deserts, is it right for anyone to be idle? Idle, what is the meaning of the word idle? Idle is when you just sit and don't do anything. All right, you're wasting time in being idle. All right, not doing any kind of work or even being productive. That means that you are in a state of being idle. All right, meaning you are idle. So it says, the horse says, Jinn of all the desert, is it right? He asks the Jinn, is it right for anyone to be idle, meaning not doing any kind of work? Because these three animals were doing extra work. All right, so remember that the horse, the dog, and the ox had to do extra work because the camel did not want to do his work. So man told the tree that because the camel is lazy, you will go ahead and work double time to make up for whatever work the camel is not doing. Okay, so when they all hold a meeting at the edge of the desert and they meet the Jinn says, it is certainly not right for anyone to be idle. Well then, says the horse, there is a thing in the middle of your desert with a long neck and long legs, and he hasn't done a stroke of work since Monday morning. He won't trot. Okay, so the horse goes up to the camel first and it says, come trot with us, come about and run with all of us. All right, so he complains to the Jinn now and tells the Jinn that there is a thing in the middle of the desert, in the middle of your desert, that has a very long neck, it has very long legs, and hasn't done a stroke of work. A stroke is the act of hitting or striking something. Like if you play a stroke in cricket, if you play a shot in cricket, okay, using your bat, that is known as a stroke. All right, so it's the act of hitting or striking something, meaning that the camel hasn't even moved his hand or leg or done anything for him to do any work. He won't trot. He complains to the Jinn. Phew, says the Jinn, whistling. That's my camel. What does he say about it? He says hump and he won't plow, said the ox. Very good, said the Jinn. I'll hump him if you will kindly wait a moment. All right, I'll hump him, meaning if you look at the bottom of the page, there is an explanation for it as well. I'll hump him, meaning I'll deal with him appropriately and I will set him right because he is not doing any work. All right, so that ends the first part of this session. We will continue the next part in the sessions to follow. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.